Buenas tardes. En primer lugar, muchísimas gracias.
So, good afternoon, and first of all, let me thank you for coming. We have such a beautiful evening in Madrid. Thank you very much to the Telefónica Foundation for having us here again at the Foundation. My name is Javier Liedo. I'm the General Director of Leica for Spain and Portugal, and I have part of the Leica Iberia team and also the Deputy President of Marketing, Andrea Pacella. And you'll have the opportunity to talk to him later on. Leica is not just a camera. It is not just a brand. It is not just a logo, which, by the way, has over 100 years. It is a way of looking. It is a way of understanding photography. When many things align at one instant, light, the moment, what you see, the history, the story you want to tell, the feeling that you know the picture is worth it, the moment is worth it, you decide to stop time. It can be done in many ways, but this way helps you understand how you want to look. In Leica, we understand that this is different. It is a way to see the world. Over 100 years ago, Leica started manufacturing cameras. We launched a portable camera to take pictures anywhere while moving around. We were the first ones. And after 100 years, our way to understand photography has not changed. We are looking for the same thing. After 100 years, we have witnessed many things. We have witnessed what has happened in the history of humanity. We have witnessed wars, migrations, much beauty, many truths, much suffering, many moments of happiness. And this has been in the hands of people who have not only been able to capture images, but not only images, also a time in history and tell the story of what they are seeing. After all these years, the world of photography has left a great legacy. And we are still looking for authenticity, looking for the best way to capture photography and decisive moments. In Leica, we want to continue Leica is a community of photography lovers, art lovers, people who like to look at things differently. Over 30 galleries throughout the world. They want to understand photography in a different way. As a brand, Leica, a company I've worked for 7 years, it's something that engulfs you. You are captivated by the brand and the products. In this brand, we understand precision. For many years, we have been able to keep manufacturing a unique object. Very well done, very well manufactured. It's a piece of engineering, a piece of precision. And we're still doing so. We have been doing this in many ways. We do this, we manufacture it in Portugal and in Germany as well. In Portugal, there is a factory producing many of our products. They own huge expertise in engineering and precision. We have over 120 stores throughout the world, 4 of them in our region. One in Madrid, another one in Porto, Lisbon, and the next one will be opening in Barcelona in September. In Madrid and Porto, we have great galleries. They hold events, many of them, for our community, the Leica community. It's an open community interested in exhibitions. This is our store in Madrid, over 300 square meters for exhibitions, and the academy. Rodrigo Livas, our academy manager, is not only a great photographer, he's also the academy activities coordinator. And in the store there is also a customer care point. In Porto we have an iconic store. It's an old cafe in the city, in a building that's over 200 years old. We open another store in Lisbon. The next one will come in Barcelona. Before giving the floor to Phil, I think it is important for us to convey the idea of keep putting your time and giving your time to what's worth it, to make a more reflexive or reflecting photography, capturing moments with a little bit more of patience, with a better approach in this world where we are rushing all the time. In the end, it's about finding what's essential. That last slide is Leica's slogan, which means what's essential, das Wesentliche. Thank you very much for coming, and I'll give the floor to Phil. Then there will be a discussion between Phil and Andrea Pacella, and Phil will be signing the books you can buy in the lobby. Thank you very much once again for being here, Phil.
Thank you all. Thank you so much, Javier.
Pleasure.
Beautiful speech there. Big thank you to Leica, Madrid, and for having me out here, all the team that put this together. Andrea, always great to see you again. Another city to our list. So, who here wants to be a photographer? Who here is a photographer? Show of hands. Do we have so many? It's a beautiful thing, right? Would you agree? So, a little bit about my adventure. This is, some of you may know me, some of you may not know my work. So this is how I came to be. This is how I came to be on this stage. So, defining a photographic style. So I'm a little bit of a dreamer. I always wanted to be in New York City. As you can see, I like baggy pants. I was big into hip hop. Fell in love with the city when I was 16. Went there with my parents. I had family in New York City, so I went there and fell in love with the place and decided that was where I wanted to be. That was where I wanted to be a photographer. This is why. It's capturing moments. Very timeless. And you'll see in a lot of my work, you'll see my kind of bond with the city, where you'll notice there's a lot of iconic moments or iconic New York locations that I like to include in my work. A lot of this stuff is pretty recent. So I have an interesting background where I come from. I started in film when I was 15. It's a long journey. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old, and I've been working in the industry professionally since I was 18, and I've seen a lot of changes in the industry. One of the things as a photographer, you have to stand out. How do you stand out from the rest? How are you just not another copy? So it's very hard. Like I've been working on this, like trying to develop my own style. Back in 2015, I really started pushing my work. I have my favorite photographers that I look up to, like Sebastião Salgado, Elliot Erwitt, Arnold Newman. These were photographers I grew up looking at. And it's one of these things that when you're strolling through Instagram, they call it the dreaded doom scroll, where you're just going like this. What makes you stop on an image? That's what I've been working towards. So I look at it like a stage. If you look at an image like this, the world is just one big beautiful stage. We have our stage, we have our atmosphere with the steam here. In New York City, we're very lucky that we have this everywhere. And then we have lots of actors. Many different actors in all our pictures. Again, just the beauty of New York City, trying to capture it in a different way. So how long do you reckon this picture took to take? Anyone guess? This is 4 hours waiting for this to happen. There are some pictures you're going to take where it's just a very sporadic moment, it's very quick and you know you have to get it. And then the images where you have to pre-visualize something. So I came out, imagine you come out of your door in the morning and it's thick fog and you can't see anything. So I quickly check the weather forecast and I see that there's going to be a break in the sun in the afternoon. So I go to this location, it's called Top of the Rock. No one's up there. Normally when you try to go up, they will show you what it looks like and you can't see anything. So they think I'm mad. Like, why would you pay $50 to go see nothing? So I go up there. It's just me and a security guard. And he's just looking at me like, what do you know that I don't know? And I'm like, just wait. All of a sudden, 4 hours later, the sun breaks through. You have this beautiful fog over the city. The sun is hitting the Empire State. I'm not a religious person, but when you're stood there with the security guard and you're looking at that, it's something it gets to you. And then it's very important to capture then and now. So one of the things I learned early on actually was, as a photographer, from my career perspective, you're not shooting for now, you're shooting for 20 years, 30 years from now. Because those are the pictures that are going to resonate. So I'm always thinking big picture. My big goal at the moment is to have I want a show at the Metropolitan Museum in New York City in 20 years. So if you were in Madrid, you would be going out capturing everything you see. Those annoying pictures when you look at people and they're holding those cell phones. Like a lot of you photographers, you don't like those pictures. Trust me, in 30, 40 years, people are going to be like, what the heck is that? So how did it all begin? So I told you, I fell in love with New York City. I spent many years. Once I got there, it's a long process to get in. I tried to get my visa. I was denied 3 times. And I didn't know, when you go for your visa, if you're denied, you can never ever go to America again. That's it. I wanted to go there on holiday, and they were like, you can't go. Unless you get that visa, that's it. So I managed to get this visa. It was like a journalism visa for 1 year. I went over, I was living with my aunt in a place called the Bronx, and the photography dream never happened. I was working in a real estate office, answering the phone for people looking to buy properties. After 3 months, I decided I could not handle my aunt anymore. I went back to England. I'm living with my parents in the middle of Dorset. It's a very quiet, sleepy part of the world. And I'm working as a waiter. And I'm like, shit, this is it. This is my life. Living in the countryside with my parents as a waiter. I didn't give up. I got a job opportunity. There was a job for a chief photographer at a local newspaper back where I used to study photography. And I got the job. So I went back. I was working for local newspapers for 1 year, and then I was working for Microsoft. I was doing all the corporate portraiture for Microsoft. And I was sat in a car, and one night we were doing like a celebrity stakeout when you're kind of waiting for a celebrity to come out of a house. It's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm chatting with this guy, and he says, why didn't you call my friends Gary and Kevin? They have jobs in Los Angeles. 2 weeks later, I'm on a plane to LA. My whole life has changed. I was working in LA for 6 months, and then I moved to New York City because they offered me the job to start their New York office. So imagine this, you're 23, 24 years old. You're flying on planes 2-3 times a week. And we were doing basically the biggest news stories. So everything when you would see the front cover news stories, those were the ones that we would work on. You never put your name on the pictures because you never wanted anyone to know. 6 months later, this happens. So I was working for 6 months straight. I didn't have a single day off. I was working till 3 o'clock in the morning. Next day, the phone rings, and they're saying to me, quickly, Phil, a plane has just flown into the World Trade Center. You might want to check it out. And I'm thinking, look, it's my day off. You know, I'm not working today. Now, normally what would happen is the phone would just keep ringing until I finally picked up the call. This day, it just rang once, and a voicemail was left. And it was just the journalist saying, Phil, turn on the TV, check it out. I turn it on, I jump on my bicycle, I ride down as quickly as possible to this location. So imagine this is what you arrive at. This is probably about 1 city block away. Now imagine you're looking up here and you have a 28-70 on. This is about 1 city block. And then all of a sudden this happens. And remember, all you're doing is you're looking for a camera. You can't see anything else that's going on around you. So you're watching, it's like a movie. You're watching this movie play out in this screen in front of you. And then reality kicks in, it's coming for me. And I'm young, you know, I remember I just like put my camera down, some firemen, they're running by, they grab me, and we run into this music store behind us. And I go in this music store, and imagine like this. You have some people in the room, they're looking through CDs. Everyone's dressed in their business suits, and they're looking through CDs in the store. Some people are running to the back of the room, scared. The emergency services people, the police, the firemen, they're stood in the front. And we're waiting for the sky. It's completely black. You can't see anything outside. And all of a sudden, this guy comes running in. His name is John Paul DeVito. And I asked him, do you mind if I take a picture? Now remember, we're all in suits. We don't know what's going on. All we've seen is this guy has come running in. Finally, I can see outside the window, and this is what you walk out to. Very different to what we were seeing a minute ago. And you're watching people, they almost look like zombies walking towards you, and everything is completely silent. You can't hear anything else. Maybe you hear like a police siren in the distance. You know, I had these dreams, these aspirations that maybe I wanted to be a war photographer, but when you're stood there and you're seeing these people walking towards you, can you take that picture? It's very tough. I realized that I was obviously there for a reason. And you're trying to get the courage to take these pictures, and you realize that what you're capturing it's the biggest historical event of my time, and I hope that it is. I hope it doesn't get any bigger than this. Now, I actually became very good friends with a lot of these people. So we have Joseph, Shrinef, and George. And after like 1 year, we actually did an anniversary. We all got together. Joseph, he's passed away. George on the right, he was like every year, I still do this. Every year I write to all the people that I know. Like we just check in, how are you doing? And I remember finally, one year, George didn't respond to me. And it was weird because every time he would write to me, I would break down in tears. I remember coming out of a movie theater once, and I was with my wife, and I just opened my emails, and in the middle of the street, I just broke down crying. And she was, "What's wrong?" And it's like, George had just written to me. And I remember, all of a sudden, George stopped writing. And his wife replied to me, and she said, "He's not very well. He has a lot of problems right now." And then the next time I get a message from his daughter saying, "I'm very sorry to say George has passed away," it just destroyed me. Jojo, on the left, she's a good friend of mine. So we actually, in 2015, I donated all my work to the 9/11 Museum, their archives. And I remember the curator, she was going through all the pictures and she recognized a lot of the people, and she said, "You should contact Jojo because she's a good friend of the museum. She wants to meet you." How do you expect that's going to go? Like, you took a picture of her like this. So I think that she's going to be really upset. So I go to meet her, and she says, "Can I give you a hug?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And she said, "You have no idea how much your picture helped me. A lot of people never believed me and my story, and this finally gives me some closure." So we became such good friends that in 2018, I actually was asked to photograph her wedding. And we still drink together now. We're still good friends, and she's a lasting, she's a friend that you can tell things to that you probably can't tell most people, because you have like this common, it's weird, it's one thing if you were, like, I'm not sure how many of you are around to watch 9/11 on the TV. It's very different when you're there. Like, you share a very common pond, because we were all there and everyone was helping each other, whether it be give them a bottle of water. You know, a lot of my friends were freaking out, and it was just this close bond that we have. So this was my life. I told you I was a dreamer. When I was young, my dream was to work for a British newspaper called The Independent, which at the time, they were the top newspaper. I wanted to be living in New York City, taking pictures of celebrities, portraits, features, big news stories, you know, I was having cups of tea with Christopher Reeve, Superman, in his kitchen. You know, if you're a kid in your 20s, that's a freak out. Or then you're doing portraits of Bill Gates or Damien Hirst. But this is what paid the bills. We can all sit there and say, paparazzi work, you know, we don't like it, but that industry doesn't exist without you. No one wants to do it, trust me. But unless people are watching the TV or buying the newspapers, you are supporting this. And it was such a crazy job. There was so much money in it when I used to do it. They call it the golden era of paparazzi. You could go out, imagine you're 25 years old, you could go out in the morning and come back $100,000 richer at the end of the day. Or 12 million. The biggest amount of money I ever heard sold was 12 million on one picture. You can guess which one that was later, okay? But for me, I hated it, okay? There were the pictures that were, when we were traveling and you're the only photographer there, you would make a lot of money. But if you were like this, you're making $1, you're barely buying a coffee. So I had my saving grace, Leica, in early 2000s. A friend of mine, he said, "Do you want to buy a Leica? I have an M7 with a 28mm 2.8. I want to sell it. It's $2,500. Do you want to buy it?" And I'm like, hell yes. I always wanted one. Now, thanks to Britney Spears, I was finally able to buy one. And so in my bag, I had two cameras. I had like a Canon with a big 200 to 400mm lens, and I had an M9 and a 35mm. So I always knew that if there were more than one photographer, I would pull the M9 out. If it was me on my own, I would shoot the paparazzi pictures. So there's a lot of people here you may recognize, Kim Kardashian, Taylor Swift. So I started working on creating this set of, like a behind the scenes of what the job was. Ozzy Osbourne. But she was one of my favorites. So, the key with the paparazzi business, you may or may not know, most of it is set up. And actually, the celebrities actually get most of the money. So sometimes what happens is, like, I can't name names for obvious reasons, but one of my friends is the personal photographer for one of the people that we saw up there. And what happens is, you shoot the pictures, they get photoshopped, they get sent to the magazines, and that celebrity gets 70% of the money. That's just how it works. Some of them get greedy and they want 90%. For me, I had a lot of ones that I like to work with. So Madonna, she was like one of my favorites that I would work with. So picture this, like, she is a nightmare to work on. She's very competitive. She will make you work for your picture, but you will get your picture. So this guy with the sunglasses here, Mike, he's a security guard. Now, a lot of the guys that work security, he's counter-terrorism unit. So the police, they work off duty for these celebrities. So you've got this guy and this black Escalade over here. What happens is they put the police lights in, they charge like maniacs all through the city, run every single red light, and I'm on a bicycle. That's how I would chase people around. I was a cyclist for many years. So one day I remember there's 20 cars, 7 motorbikes, there's about 10 bicycles, and we're all chasing around the city, we're all running through these red lights like crazy people, and it's only me left. We've lost all the cars, all the motorbikes, and just the bicycle. She pulls up in front of this building, I quickly pull my camera out to get this picture, and Madonna doesn't get out the car. I'm like, what? We've been driving around for an hour in circles. And the security guard comes up to me and he said, I owe you a drink. I'm like, why? And he said, she's not coming out today. We're just having fun. They were busting our balls. They said, we took a bet. We wanted to see who would be the last one standing. So I get back to the house. He walks up. He gives me a drink. The next day, same thing happens. We lose all the cars. We lose all the bikes. But she actually does show up. And she goes to a movie set where Guy Ritchie, her husband, was. She gets the flowers out. She's got all the family around the camera. I'm on a long lens. I'm getting all these great pictures. And, it's like she's giving you $40,000. Okay? So you're just like, this is amazing, And there's 20 security guys. They're standing right behind her, and no one's doing anything. You keep your distance and you be very respectful of them. If you see that they don't want to be photographed, you put your camera down. She leaves, and this person with the sound comes up to me, and he said, wow, she loves you. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, I had her mic'd the whole time. And the security guys, they kept coming up to her, like saying, do you want us to get rid of him? And she said, look, the guy's been chasing me on a bicycle for 2 weeks. He can take whatever pictures he wants. This is me on my bicycle. So I actually raced for 10 years. You may or not know. Any of you cyclists? Anyone? No cyclists in Spain? One out of like 200? I don't believe that. I actually raced. I was a time trialist, if you can believe it. I was the New York State champion. This is the office. So normally what happens is you get the pictures and you have to quickly drop wherever you are and start editing pictures. Now the thing is, if you're on a bicycle, like my life basically was riding on a bike for 12 hours a day, every single day. You see crazy shit everywhere. It's New York City. So if you're riding on a bike, and none of this is set up. I don't know any of these people. These are real New Yorkers. So we got a man who's decided to walk his turkey on 5th Avenue. You can't make it up. Like, Figure this guy's reading his newspaper. I'm trying to figure out how to get a picture of him. I turn around and this other guy is walking up Madison Avenue, which, if any of you know New York, Madison Avenue is like a very rich part of New York City. So you don't expect to see the Joker walking up in the midday, right? So I'm like, I want to go and approach him and ask him if I can take his picture. And it could go one of two ways. He's either completely insane, right? Or he's dressed up. So he said, yep, fine, take my picture. So I'm like positioning here and I get like this interesting juxtaposition of the two. Or you could be taking the subway in the morning and you sat next to Gollum. Or it could be a spaceman. So interesting for me, when I'm doing these kind of pictures, I'm always trying to show location as well, because otherwise it's just a picture of a man in a spaceman outfit, right? So for me, the picture here is actually the kid. And then you have location, just by that Worcester Street sign, it gives you place. It's my statue of David. I don't know what it is. Either they find me or I find them. But wherever I am in New York, like I'm on 42nd Street, I'm taking pictures of something else, I turn around, and this guy stood right behind me. So you have to ask, right? So I went through this series of doing these portraits where everything was full length. I was shooting on my 35, 1.4, and I'm trying to push the background out, and it was just purely about like the people of New York. And I remember I was putting my first ever book together, and I had all these pictures of broom sweep people, but I didn't know it. And it's weird because like the thing about photography, the camera is a tool, right? It's a beautiful tool that enables us to be able to capture these pictures. But at the end of the day, the photographer is you, right? Your life experience, like what have you been through? So for me, like the street sweeper, this is what I used to do as a job. I used to sweep up the streets. I was a rubbish man. I don't know what you call it in Spain, but like when you're in the truck and you throw the garbage, I used to do that. I used to work as a waiter, silver service. So I actually served Prince Andrew many years ago. Life turned out pretty good for that guy. So all these different things, all these different pictures. We're taking donations. This is my friend Sean. So if you want to donate, we're still saving the money for the ray gun. But 2019, I had all these pictures, and it led to my first ever book. So who here wants to do a book? Anyone? Come on, I know. Yeah, one, there we go. Two, yeah. Anyone else? Usually, yes. Come on, you guys are shy, man. And it'll be like 100 hands will go up in a minute. So doing a book is tough. You literally, I bet the house. Like my first book cost me $40,000 to do my first ever book. I refinanced my house to be able to do my first ever book, because you're gambling in your career. Like how much, the thing is, if you're not willing to invest in your career, why would anybody else? Right? For those of you that didn't put your hands up, the wannabe photographers, you have to go all in. Don't go refinancing your house, okay? But I did. I was gambling, and luckily it paid off. It became the #1 bestseller on Amazon worldwide, and it kind of launched my career. So where do you go from that? Once you have that, you've got to start changing your style, right? You don't want to be the photographer that's taking the same picture 50 years later, right? So I'm always trying to evolve my style. Like how can I try different techniques? How can I introduce it into my work? So it could be, this is a policeman's funeral that was inspired by the works of Alexei Tidorenko. I don't know if any of you know his work. Using, again, iconic structures of New York City, playing with layering. That shot on the right, I would love to say that I planned that picture, but it was a complete accident. And it's sometimes, like when I'm taking pictures, I will try many different shots, and it was just it was probably the second from the end picture, and I timed it, this car went through, and it worked out perfectly. Did I plan it? No. Very important, never ever delete pictures off the back of your camera. Radio City, coolest woman in the world. That's not her snake. Okay, it was like some snake. I'm just waiting for her to jump, and she didn't move at all. Using film noir style. Again, portraits. So we got the King of 42nd Street and the Naked Cowgirl. So I started going from my full-length portraits to a lot of tight portraits. So when I'm doing portraits of people, I'm always trying to shoot. It's not just one image. I'm trying to shoot many different angles of the same picture. Anyone? Caption? Think of it for later. And then this is one of those shots where it's just a 2-second window, right? You got 2 seconds to get this picture. There's the one that we took on the Empire State where it's 4 hours. And then this shot, I was actually teaching a workshop. I had a one-to-one with somebody. And the guy, he was like taking pictures through the window of a restaurant, and the guy from the restaurant came out screaming, trying to hit him. So I'm like walking away, and I turn around and I'm like, holy shit, like that's much better. But it's the thing with this is like you're trying to piece, like good skill with a photographer is you can analyze things very quickly in a scene. So it's fast, analytical. It could be some influencer in the middle of Fifth Avenue. Don't do this at home. It could be details. I'm drawn very much to like details of people as well. So it could be like a tattoo. It could be something that's very personal to them. When I'm walking around on the streets, I'm looking at everything. Like you think of it, while you're walking, you're scanning, looking at everything. So I'd be looking for things like this, or it could be a little story like the woman walking, looking into the abyss. This was during COVID. Again, playing with slow shutter speed. This is probably like a 6-second exposure where I'm just holding my camera and I'm balancing and I have the idea in my head, and it's just this movement of people in front of a window. Some very clever woman in COVID. So 2022, right? I thought my newspaper photography days were over. The second biggest. No, I wouldn't say second biggest. It's very different, right? For us, we didn't know. All we knew was what we saw on the TV. In New York, it was 1,000 people died last night. 1,200 people died this night. But you never saw anything. With September 11th, you could smell it. And the worst, believe it or not, was 6 months after 9/11, because the wind changed and it pushed, and you're smelling the bodies. COVID was very different, right? We couldn't see it. So I would go out on the streets every day. I knew that this was a huge historical event. I knew that in September 11th, I made a lot of mistakes after September 11th where I didn't photograph everything. So I knew this time I needed to shoot everything and anything. Because you're planning what are the pictures that are going to be relevant in the future. So for me, my biggest honor as a photographer, you always ask yourself, are you looking to make money or do you want legacy? For me, it was always legacy. I'm not interested in the money. As long as I'm comfortable and I can pay my rent, I'm more interested in leaving your mark on history, like you were there. So in 2022, my work was accepted into the US Library of Congress. So you are part of the permanent archives of our US history. For me, when I was walking around, you might be having a bad day. You know, I don't know if this happens to you when you walk around and all of a sudden you see a sign that just helps you. So for me, it was like, you're doing great. Anyone know this guy? I won't ask for a show of hands because I know I'm going to see one. It was a very, very tough time. Believe it or not, the worst part of it was when they started boarding up all the stores and they were looting. That was the toughest part for me. A lot of time, whatever you're personally going through is going to come out in your pictures as well, because that's what makes the picture, right? The whole reason I'm taking pictures is I want to make you feel something. So for this picture for me, when I was shooting this, it was very early on during COVID. And you've got this guy, he stood there with a mask, and I'm just like, we're hearing all the numbers of everyone that's dying every night. And in my head, I was looking at Lady Liberty, and I'm thinking, no matter why everything's going bad, she's watching on. Here's Sean again. This time he's got his ray gun, and he's looking for casual sex and weed. But there was two big stories that were ignored for us. It was the homeless. So we had the homeless story and construction. So I don't know how it was in Madrid, but believe it or not, 21 and 22 were actually the two biggest years in construction history. So the whole time we were all at home in the US and we were all in our apartments, they were on every single street, they were doing construction. So I decided I want to take up the story of the homelessness. Now, how do you tell that story, right? Because you don't want to just be taking pictures of people stood in doorways. So imagine this, you're on the street, I see this guy wearing this jacket, the garbage truck is throwing away all his possessions, and I go up to him and I said, can I take a picture of the back of your jacket? And he says, where are you from? And I said, from England. Where in England? Dorset. Where in Dorset? And Dorset's very small. So he says, I'm from Dorset too. So it's just very strange that the two of us were on the streets in New York in that time. This is my friend Styles. We've got Charlie here. So Neil lost his job working in Chinatown and then found himself on the street living with 50 people underneath the bridge. And I just thought it was very telling that even though he was living underneath the bridge, you still had this, he had a brush. He was still trying to keep where he lived clean when he had his stuff lined up. And I just thought it was very interesting, very telling. This is John. These are all my regulars. So in 2020, after COVID, I actually had 20,000 images edited. And I started applying for my next book. So I reached out to a company called Tenois, my publisher, and they did all Elliot Erwitt's books and Robert Mapplethorpe and all the greats. And I said to them, one day in my lifetime, I would love to do a book with you. So they said, yeah, we'd love to do a book with you. So I'm like, shit, I can't refinance the house again. So we get on Zoom and they just say to me, yeah, let's do a book. And I said, well, I'm not paying you anything. Great, let's do it. And the book went on to sell 7,500 copies so far. Where do you go next? So I'm lucky. I go all around the world teaching for Leica Academy. I was just in Porto. I had an exhibition in Porto for any of you that want to go. It's a beautiful space. I'm going to be in Singapore, Australia, London. I'm going all around the world. So one of the things while I'm there, I like to take advantage of the opportunity that I have through Leica. So it's shooting whatever I can on the streets. Going to London, I'm going to be there in 2 weeks' time, doing an academy class for them. Tokyo, one of my probably my favorite place outside of New York City to shoot right now. Me and Andrea, we were there in October. That was good times. Darth Vader at the Vatican. This was actually a Leica Academy, and the students missed it. So we were actually there, and the thing with this is, like, it could be that the picture is, like, when I was there, I saw Darth Vader and the Emperor, they're just having a coffee outside a cafe, right? Is that the picture, or is it the Vatican in the background? Then you have a story, right? This one, I don't know if any of you recognize this. This was actually part of the 100-year celebration in Madrid. Thank you. And back to the top of the rock again. So this was actually during the Canadian forest fires. It was just me, the security guard again, and we were back to the beginning. And all this work, this is the latest book that we just produced, and it's a combination of work from around the world. So I thank you all. Thank you, Leica. Thank you for all of you coming to support. I really appreciate it. If you want to see any more of my work, you can check it out on any one of the 20,000 social media apps or my website. Anyway, thank you. Thank you.
Great pictures.
Muy buenas las fotos.
Stories. Thank you everyone for being here, really. I was here some years ago, 5-6 years ago, with Steve McCurry, and also there it was a great evening, because in the end photography is this, is stories. So I would start our talk from the book. So we ended on the book, I would restart on the book. Because when you ask who wants to do a book...
There's more than 5, I know that.
No, I think that everyone should. Even if the book is made by simply pasting the pictures on an album or trying to make it with blurb or any other editing. But I think that when you shoot photography and if you love photography and you do it with passion, in the end, if you don't print it, it's you're missing something. Then, as we said, remain 1 and 0 in a computer. So, from here, what is the real advice that you would give about this to someone who... Because what I mean is, when you do a book and when you shoot to do a book, is different than shooting just a picture.
Yeah.
Because in the book you have to have a sequence. You have to have pictures in the 2 pages that talk to one to the other. It's as you said, it's not only the main pictures. In a book you have to put details. You have to put landscapes or urban landscapes, or there's a lot more that goes in a book that would not be needed if someone would be only shooting pictures. How you address this?
So I actually learned by being threatened to be fired on every job. When I was working as a news photographer, you're telling a story, right? So the way that it would work when we were working for newspapers is you're hired for a job, but your client is the whole world, and every publication is different. So you would have to shoot a different style of picture, many different types of pictures on every job you were going to. So we have the GV, which is the general view. So if ever you go on a job and they say, where are the GVs? Now you know it's the general view, it's the location. So if we were coming here, the picture we would take is the wide shot of the whole of the room to give us place. Where are we? Then we would do details, so it could be the sign, the Telefonica, right? That could be a detail. Then we would start doing the presenters. Then we would do you watching us. So it's a combination. You're telling a story of an event that we're doing. It's the same with a book. Imagine you're doing a book and you like silhouette pictures. 1, 2, 3. After about the 10th page, you're going to get pretty bored, right? It's the same picture over and over again. So I knew this very early on, that I needed to start expanding my vocabulary as a photographer, expanding. And then also, I found for me was working with good curators as well. So I don't pretend to be the best, I'm a pretty decent photographer. Am I a good designer? No. Am I a great curator? No. It's important to have someone else who can look at your work with an outside eye. And it might not be that every picture is the best picture in the book. It might be like this book, we probably started with 10,000 images. I get it down to 500, then I go to the curator. We have to pick 190 for the book, and then we will go back and forth with that. So my best advice would be have other people look at your work as well, give you honest feedback. But like Andrea's point, if it's not in print, it's just digital dust and you can lose all of it. So it's very important. For me, like the finished article was always the print. That's how I started as a kid. And have any of you worked in a darkroom or printed in a darkroom? It's the most magical thing. That's what gets you addicted to photography. And it's seeing the image come up. I advise all of you to do it.
And what you said is true, because show your pictures to other people. And sometimes because I consider myself still a photo amateur, and we tend to be shy, we fear that people say that the pictures are not good, and it might be true. Pictures might not be good, but if no one tells you your pictures are not good, how you get better? So I think this is also when we do the workshop in the Leica Academy, telling the people the truth about their pictures, it's a very important part.
Well, I know so many photographers that stopped doing photography because they had someone that was teaching them that told them it's shit. And it destroys you. And it's like, okay, anyone can do that. But it takes someone that's talented who knows what they're doing that says, okay, what do we need to improve on? I'm not trying to destroy your life. This is not your profession. Number one is enjoy it. Okay, enjoy photography. And if anyone ever tells you as well, this is the way you do it, just this way, walk away. You're never going to learn anything that way. You have to experiment. How would we get anywhere otherwise? Look at science, right? It's a prime example.
It's true. How many of you are passionate with photography? Taking pictures.
Slightly different from the first time I asked.
Okay. And how many of you are professional photographers? So for all the others, photography is not needed to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, to put food on the table, right? So if you still spend time to do it, then do it in the best way you can. Otherwise, I think this is the commitment we try to teach, and you are one of our best teachers in this sense. Also, taking workshops, how is important for someone who loves photography?
For them?
For them.
In what sense?
What gives you making a workshop with you like we are doing this weekend? When you get into a workshop and what are you trying to explain to people that is...
For me, yes. Number one is I don't want to change your vision. I don't want you to become another copy of me. That would be my failure if I did that. Because, back to my point, how are you going to stand out as a photographer? But the thing is, I can show you I can probably speed up your progression 3 years in 2 days. Just by showing you all the mistakes that I made in 30 years. Even just doing a book, you don't realize it. I probably saved you all about $40,000 tonight and you have no clue. So just these little things when we're working together, it's okay, what is your style and how can I bring out the most in your work and show you techniques? Like unfortunately today with YouTube, there's a lot of bad information out there. So the first part of it is I have to debunk everything that you've heard that's bad advice on YouTube. You know, I was lucky. My dad was a photographer, and I was very passionate. I was in the darkroom every single night, often all night into the morning. So I was able to learn, and it would be sometimes all you need is one person in your life. So you can probably tell I'm a very driven person. When I was 15, I had a teacher that told me you'll never amount to nothing. So imagine you're that 15 years old and someone tells you that. And I remember getting home and my dad, he had me read the newspaper because she told me I could never read. And all you need, I got lucky. I went to college and I had one teacher called Andy Fowler. First project I ever did, he said, this is probably the best picture I've ever had submitted on a first assignment. And every week he would give me positive reinforcement and I started getting confidence. So why would I take that away from you if I was teaching you? Right? It's to encourage you. I want you to go out there and enjoy taking pictures.
I think it's doing a workshop with someone, with a great photographer, with a good teacher like Phil or like many others. At least I can tell you, saves you a lot of money in a therapist and has more or less the same effect. Because allows you to discover something about you, so it's important. But I would like to come to a thing that I see here, and I would like to make a provocation with you. Do you really feel that street photography is the right definition for the photography you do, or the photography that a lot of people thinks to do when they are in the street by being inspired or sometimes mimicking Cartier-Bresson or Elliot Erwitt or Joel Meyerowitz or anyone else? What is street photography? Is it really street photography, or is photography that happens also in the street?
I understand that people like to put labels on things because we can't apparently cope when we love to put ourselves in boxes. For me, I'm a photographer. First and foremost, if I see an abstract image out there that I want to take, I'm not going to say, no, it's an amazing image, but I couldn't possibly take that image because I'm a pure street photographer, right? I'm very drawn to shooting a little bit of everything because I want my work to progress. Like, I love Joel Meyerowitz because he was doing a lot of street, and then he started, right, well, why don't I try this? Why don't I try this type of photography? And he kept pushing himself forward as well. And you can actually learn, like you could go and do, say, fashion photography, and you could learn elements from fashion photography that you could put into your street photography. So I'm constantly trying to mix it up.
And how you feel about the fact that if you do the endless scrolling on Instagram or on any other platform, you see more and more, I see more and more, a lot of Phil Penman mini-me, people that tries to replicate the style. Do you feel, first of all, that you have created a style, that you have evolved a style, and should people really try to copy? I mean, in the classic art, it was the beginning, copying someone else.
Right.
Is still the same in photography?
Yeah, it's nice that you want to emulate something, but you're never going to stand out because it already exists. And at the end of the day, that's not you. You know, it's how do you bring out who you are? I'm going to give you an example. Okay, there's a photographer called Gino from Nuremberg. He wrote to me many years ago, and he said to me, "You have so many more interesting people to take pictures of in New York City." And he was just doing like black and white street photography at the time. And I said, "Trust me, go out on the streets and start taking pictures of the people that are interesting to you." And his stuff just is mind-blowing. And now all of a sudden, when I look at his feed, it's complete night and day from what he was doing. Now he's getting exhibitions, he's doing Leica events, and it was purely just one little thing saying, go and take pictures of the people where you live. And sometimes that's all you need to hear. So yeah, go discover your style. You know, it's nice that you say I have a style.
It's quite.
You know, I try.
It's quite recognizable in your last books, and somehow it's a style. Not because it's even more recognizable as a style now that you have started to show some color photography.
Yeah, we're not going to do much more of that.
Among the
that was it.
And that shows that if there is a coherence between pictures shot in black and white and pictures shot in color, that means there is a style behind.
I actually do shoot a lot of color. I just
but you don't show.
I don't like to show it. I can't take the.
Why?
It'll come out one day.
It's therapy. We are saying that this is therapy.
It's weird because I've actually done a lot of commercial work before as well, and if you saw it, you wouldn't recognize me at all. Like because I was a working photographer. Obviously, you can't just give people black and white because you'll be out of business tomorrow. So most of the work that I shot was color, and I think when you're shooting celebrities for 15 years, you're going to shoot black and white so fast.
It's easier.
No, it was, to be honest, I was in a place where I was so depressed, I was so miserable doing that job. And it wasn't till like I said, I got the Leica from my friend, I started shooting black and white again. And it was like my happy place. So I had my celebrity stuff, because it had to be very colorful. It always had to pop on, we call it pop on the page, like jump at you. And in 2015, I had a breakdown. I had a complete breakdown. I couldn't take it. Believe it or not, I quit photography. I took a job working in cycling, and I used to sell cycling clothing for 3 years. And at the same time, what I was doing was I was doing my black and white, the stuff for me. Like a lot of the stuff that you saw there, I was shooting just for me, just to try to get myself back into the groove. And then all of a sudden, I started making a name for myself, and I started developing a style for myself, and I was able to stop selling cycling clothing, and now I'm here.
Another interesting thing that you have said and comes out from what you explained is that is about what to photograph. Kertész, the great photographer, said once that if you have ideas, you can shoot your whole life in your backyard. While in my work at Leica, being in contact with a lot of passionate photo amateurs, photographers who do photography for passion, very often they tell me, this are the picture I've made in Japan, or the picture I've made in Southern America, or in Brazil, or in New York. And I ask them, why? Show me something you have shot in your city. No, I'm not inspired. I cannot see everything. There is this sort of presbyopia that you see only the things that are far, and you don't see the things that are near in photography. Again, what is your advice? How to concentrate? Because sometimes you could, like many photographers, you could do a story only about your children, or only about your friends, or...
There's so many projects you could do. One of the pieces of my... it's the same for me. Like, a lot of the time, it's got nothing to... It's more to do with what's going on in your head at the time. You know, you might have problems with, I don't know, the kids at school, or it might be the bank is coming down on you, or something. It's like just stress. Right, and it's occupying your brain. So it might be, for me, I know when I go back, like I'm going to be on the road for like 6 weeks. I know as soon as I get back to New York, I'm going to see so many pictures again. So it might be that I might set an assignment for myself. Like one of the ones I've been working on is like newspapers. You remember those newspapers? When you see them on the street, just taking a picture of the newspaper, because it's giving you a timestamp of history. So that might be one little project that I'm working on, and then all these different projects. So you might go out taking pictures, and you're just, I don't know, maybe one day you say, today all I'm going to do is work on shadows. The next day all I'm going to do is silhouettes. and just to train your brain again to just start working on things.
And shoot people you know, or get to know you know by name all the people that you have shot on the street, homeless
This is the best
people.
part of the job. Think about what that camera has done for you.
No, this is true, and
It's incredible.
I always say that one very particular thing about, in our case, about a Leica is that when two people with a Leica met somewhere in the world, they at least recognize each other, stop, and sometimes go on shooting together. With photography, friendships can start. It seems it has happened to you.
Oh, it's you know, I don't want to say too much, but when I think about it, I started with my first Leica in 2004, and now I'm sat here on a stage talking to you. How many thousands of people I've gotten to meet on, be it through exhibitions with Leica or workshops with Leica. I never in a million years ever envisioned this. And, you know, it doesn't happen easily. You have to work very hard, as you know. But, you know, thankful for every day that I picked up that guy sold me that camera.
Yeah, in fact, Javier used the term community. It's the photographic community. Leica is a small community inside a photographic community.
Yeah.
It's a nice place to be.
I'll be on the street and it's a conversation starter. If I see someone with one, I'll go, nice camera.
That's the
and then straight away it sparks up some kind of conversation.
Let's come to a topic. We were talking about it, and you told me that in doing your new book, you had to correct the contract. The publisher wanted you to sign because they had put something that was authorizing them to use your picture to train AI.
Not good. I'm sure we all have our personal feelings on AI. I don't want to make it easy for it to replace. You know, I don't think it will.
But do you really think they training an AI about your pictures can lead to replace you? I think it's not.
I think what's going on right now is a lot of AI companies are coming to photographers and they're saying, look, I will pay you $20,000 for your hard drives. And we're going to use your hard drives to train the AI models. And it will be which were the images that were the selects and which ones are the rejects. So if you're the photographer, you're taking that short-term money. But basically, if you're a commercial photographer, you've just taken money up front to replace yourself.
And still, I don't think you can be replaced by an AI. I think that a lot of works in photography, like a lot of works in everything else, might be replaced by AI, but not the artist's vision. Because what you see in the street or wherever you are, it's something that maybe has not existed till the previous moment. I had a talk with many talks about it with Joel Meyerowitz. He always says that very often, he's good. So for me, maybe sometime. For him, it's very often. He sees things in reality, people completely disconnected, where his mind builds a pattern and make that scene something that goes inside a picture. So there is still a human mind that recognizes something. It's not about just, so your vision, your creativity, not necessarily can be substituted by an AI. Maybe if we have to shoot cars or bags or whatever else, but I don't think anyone will want to have the pictures of their wedding done with AI or their children done with AI or the moments, and still sitting in front of a computer trying to explain to an AI that you want a picture of a sunset when the light is exactly between 5th Avenue and 57th Street. it's not easy, and maybe it's easier to be like you do at that corner of the street and shoot the picture yourself.
Yeah, I think what we'll probably see is a lot of the commercial part of the business is going to go. But what's been really interesting is the pushback against AI. I didn't expect it to be so big. Like enrollment in art schools has actually gone up. So it's very encouraging. We're seeing like a big drive. And then also like workshops. A lot of workshops now are selling out 1 year in advance, because you're getting a lot of people that, the more that AI is being rammed down your throat, the more people are driving towards wanting to do real things.
You can do great music with AI, yet live music concerts are never so popular as today.
Right.
So, and people is coming to these talks, and people is going to see exhibition, and people is buying books. So I work in this industry, and I can tell you that I'm not so negative about AI, what AI will do. Maybe AI will help you, can help you, as you said, when you come back with 20,000 pictures, and then you have to sort them out and order them, and maybe there will be soon some AI that can help you do some mass work easier. But it's your mind that still takes the decision.
Let's hope.
Huh?
Let's hope so.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And still being with the camera, it's something that you always have one, right?
Which?
Camera. With
camera?
You.
Yeah, it's with me now. There's always a picture. There's pictures in here. The problem is you can't turn it off, the brain, because you can't. Every time you're looking at something, you're seeing a picture. It's the hardest part is sometimes I might be in a restaurant sat with someone and I'm framing something while I'm chatting to them. It's not good. Turn it off. Turn it off.
We've talked about many topics, but is there some maybe question that someone wants to do?
First of all, thank you very much. It's been fascinating to hear you and to see your work, which I didn't know before. And I'm a great admirer of photography and always go to as many exhibits of photography as possible. This is a bit out of left field, but I was suddenly reminded of Vivian Myers, whose work I'm sure you know, right? I was just curious what you thought about her work.
It's great. There's a beautiful exhibition right now in Porto. But what was fascinating is we've been told this one story in the US, anyway, that she was a nanny that just happened to take pictures. But actually, she was a photographer who worked as nanny to pay to do her photography. I didn't know that until I went to the exhibition in Porto.
Yes, there was a wonderful exhibition here in Madrid a few years ago also, that's how I discovered her work and found out who she was and what her life was like.
Now imagine how many other photographers were never discovered because of gatekeepers.
Yeah, thank you.
And as far as I've learned, she was way better as a photographer than as a nanny. Some of the children had to go in therapy when they grow up. Any other question? There and there.
Do you use your phone as a camera?
To video? Yeah.
No.
No? Sometimes I'll use it as a timestamp if I see something. Because I can clock a time and place. But no, not really.
So you don't consider a photo taken with an iPhone
Oh no, I didn't say that. I just said I prefer to take pictures from my Leica.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, it's just a tool.
Right.
And think about, there's so many beautiful pictures that have been taken with them.
Right.
But it's just, for me, it's manually setting my camera, looking through the viewfinder, being able to change my glass. You can't replicate that. It's not the same.
Right.
And You know, the end result is not as important to me as when I'm enjoying taking the picture, and I don't get the satisfaction with the phone.
But between not taking the picture and taking it just with the phone, the second is better.
Yeah.
There was a...
Yeah, thanks. You talked earlier about the relationship that you build with people and you built with your subjects, and the ability for photography to break down boundaries and create those connections. But I think certainly for amateur street photographers, one of the biggest hurdles to overcome is actually having the courage to pick up the camera, point it at someone that they don't know and take their photo. It feels like you're almost invading their space. How do you advise people in your workshops or people in this room ways that they can overcome that fear and they can actually get to the next stage where they're building those connections?
One of the things that we do in the class as well is we all go out and do a portrait. You have to go up to a random stranger and ask them if you can take their picture. And it's funny because I was in Switzerland and we had a couple of Swiss in the group and they were like, no one in Switzerland likes to have their picture taken. They don't like it.
I mean, they are famous for many things, but not for that.
And we went out and everybody said yes. And sometimes they would be pointing the camera doing one portrait and another one person would come up to them and say, can you take my picture as well? If you're doing, say, a street scene, right? It could be something where you're on a corner. There's people are constantly coming, right? And a lot of the time, it's psychology. You could be taking a picture of someone walking towards you, and a lot of the time what they'll do is they'll carry on and they'll turn around to see if you're taking a picture. And a lot of the time, I'm still taking pictures, and they just leave you alone. My advice would be, best way to start overcoming it, go to a big event, like a parade, some public event. A lot of the time, then, people get offended if you don't ask to take their pictures.
And having seen him shooting many times, there is a very simple thing. Smile. Smile to the people.
Yeah. Well, they read you.
And don't show like you are stealing something. Be intentional. If you have to do it. And smile. And people, most of the time, you will be surprised there is no negative feedback. I mean, in New York, still can happen. Sometimes.
Well, if you could start blasting people in their faces, yeah. What do you expect?
Perdón. Mi pregunta era también un poco en relación a lo que acaba de comentar. Perdón.
No, I'm Italian and understand, but...
No, iba a hacer...
No, I had the same question, but anyway, I am also a photographer and I also started taking pictures in New York. I have taken pictures in Madrid and in New York. And I have to say that it is easier to take pictures in New York because people love being taken a picture of. They feel they are the main character, they are a hero, so it's easier to have a relation with them, to break that barrier. So for someone who has never taken a picture, doing it in New York is like a lot of excitement and it makes you want to do it more. In Madrid, things are different. People are very aggressive. I have also worked here and we've had a parallel career. I've also worked for a journal, for a newspaper. But Madrid is very different. Madrid is much more difficult, especially when it comes to street photography. You get threatened. I always smile. Sometimes I pretend I'm a tourist. So people think that I am taking a picture of monuments as a tourist. But yeah, that was it. I wanted to say this. But I do have a question. You make friends. From what you said, you become friends with the people you take photos of, not only during September 11th and During COVID, you also had a relation with your subjects. Are you still friends with them? Do you keep those friendships?
So a lot of the people that I photographed during COVID, yeah, I am still. The guy in the chair, Styles, I think he's passed away though, because he would be there every single day. I haven't seen him in a while. One of the things that I found that helps me a lot, and every time I go up to someone and I ask if I can do their picture, I tell them, look, here's my Instagram, send me a message and I will send you the pictures. And probably 90% of the people message me, and then when I get home, it's the first picture I edit because I know that people want instant. So I edit that picture straight away and I send it to them, and they are so shocked and surprised that you took the time to respond to them and you did what you said you would do, because most people don't. And then what's nice is you see them, they use it as their profile pictures, because they also see that they're getting something from this as well. And then I'll give you an example of one, and you actually met him in Tokyo. There was a guy, he was a samurai Elvis dancer in Tokyo, and I was actually following him because I was very into that anyway. And then one day I saw that he was following me, so I was like, oh, wow. So I sent him a message and said, I would love to meet you in Tokyo. Sure, let's do a shoot. So we became friends through that. But I do that with lots of people. But I was out taking pictures today, and I didn't have, really any problems. But I understand it's different in different cities. I found New York, you can still have a lot of trouble. It could be, the thing you have to remember, I learned this. You're assuming that they don't want their picture taken. Why don't they want their picture taken? It's not privacy, because you sold your privacy, so it's not that. So it's more, it could be, I'll give you an example. It could be, there's a guy, he was walking up the street in Manhattan with some woman, and I'm just stood there, I'm not even taking pictures. And he jumps and he's like, did you just take my picture? Like, no. How do you know he's not cheating on his wife and that's the girl? How do you know that he, I have friends who do pictures of insurance fraud. So how do you know that the person you just photographed isn't doing a claim right now, illegally, and they think you're that? I'll give you another example. One day I was photographing, I was teaching someone how to do a reflection picture. Okay? And two guys come up to me and they say, what do you think you're doing? And I say, why? What did you do wrong? And they were like, if you want to sue us, you can sue us, man. And I'm like, what are you on about? And they said, well, you're from the insurance company, right? And I'm like, no. So I assumed that it was something else, but it wasn't. So we never know what it is.
There was another question.
Había otra pregunta por aquí. Allí.
Thank you so much for your inspiring presentation. I have you said that you enjoy every Leica trip to take some shoot. You said right now that you were maybe this morning taking shoot in Madrid. Although that lady over there said that Madrid is a very aggressive atmosphere to take picture, I would like to know if where are you going to choose to take some picture here in Madrid? I'm curious, just curious, and nobody's listening, so you can tell me.
To be honest, I never have an agenda when I go to a city. Like, I don't look in the tour book and say, these are the top 10 pictures to take pictures in Madrid, because then they probably are not for me. So I'll walk around and I'll try to just walk around aimlessly. Normally I'm up by like 5 o'clock and I start walking the streets because it's the best way to see the city. Also, to your point, actually, I've found, and many photographers think the same way, when you're taking pictures in the morning, people have purpose. And they're not, like for me, when I'm walking around in the morning, people are going to work, they don't have time to stop and say, please don't take my picture. In the afternoon, you will have a lot more trouble. So I expect to see you all at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning by my hotel.
No, but at 5 o'clock in the morning,
it's good.
The light is very particular, and
it's I do that because I travel and I'm constantly jet lagged. I'm always up early, so I will just start walking the streets. And because it's not too busy, I can get familiar with how the streets work pretty quickly as well. But I don't have a destination, no.
Other questions?
Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much to be here. And I would like to ask, do you have any tips on how do you become your own niche? Because you yourself are a niche, like you are a niche. So do you have
not
any
the photography,
tips?
Just you.
Yeah, you.
You're a freak, but yeah.
Do you have any tips on how to become recognizable or how to develop a style, concrete style?
It's tough because it takes years as well. So it must have taken me at least 10 to 15 years before I started finding my style. And in all honesty, it just became because I didn't care about money anymore. And I was just taking the pictures of New York City for me because I had the other job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously it's very personal to you, so you have to find something, a personal story that you gravitate to, or it could be related to your job as well.
I would like to ask, for a complete beginner, what kind of equipment or brand camera apparatus, like
the most expensive one? No.
What do you recommend? Because there are a lot of stuff out there.
Camera-wise?
Yeah.
Just something where you can learn the basics. Learn, like for all of you, just learn manual first.
Okay.
Okay, because a lot of people, that's how I started. Right, it was manual film photography. So, and I used a light meter, and my dad would ask me, right, what's the exposure in the room right now? You have to learn manual first. Because a lot of the time people, they buy a camera, they put it on auto, and they leave it on auto. And then I always get the questions in Instagram, what were the settings for these pictures? The problem is the settings are different in every single picture.
Right.
So you have to learn the basics. So just go like, the one that I use is Q. Like that's a great starter camera. It's just like a fixed lens as well. Very good quality. And yeah, that would be the first thing I do. Something that doesn't have too many buttons.
Okay.
They drive some of the camera companies. I look at it and it's like they're trying to do a moon landing or something with this thing. It's insane. There's only 4 things on a camera that actually really matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
But if you spend some money for a camera, then you feel obliged to use it. So that might be.
So the most expensive camera.
Last question.
Hello. Over here.
Hi.
I think it's interesting the debate there is about the street photography that I have heard. For example, the fact that you immortalize important or historical moments against people that say you are showing sometimes people in their worst moments.
Yep.
So I would like to know if you have red lines when you do street photography.
It's difficult, right? Because my big education was when I did the Library of Congress. Because you're giving them all these pictures and you submit 100 images, and I'm thinking it's going to be the ones that get 20,000 likes. And they were like, we don't want that. We need to see You know, we come from the school of Walker Evans, you know, the farm administration work. It needs to be hard-hitting and it needs to be real documentation of real life. So if you hear someone that's saying, don't take pictures of children, don't take pictures of this, don't take pictures of that, that's what happened. That's censorship. Okay, so it's, for me, like everyone has their personal boundaries. You know, some people don't feel anything. You realize that, right? Once you grasp that as well, it took me a while to realize there are people out there that have no feelings. For me, like, I never want someone to feel bad if I was taking a picture. Like if it would upset them. That's, you know, if someone was to come up to me and said, like, you know, I prefer that you don't take that picture, there's no problem. One that I'm not really into is taking pictures of homeless people in their doorways because that's their home. Right? So, like, when I did my project, I knew that that can't be the story. It needed to be, you know, that's somebody's son, that's somebody's daughter. Who are they? Why are they there? You know, John's been on the streets since 2012. He's still on the streets. You know, how, like, it's interesting because my wife actually did a documentary and it shows the progression of someone, it was a friend of hers that went from working in a job as a dancer, in a strip club, from being evicted to drug addiction to living homeless in Central Park. So it can happen to anyone. And it's it was filmed over 14 years, so you see that. So you have to remember that, like, when you're taking those pictures. So, yeah, those are my personal boundaries.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.